Inactivity is very, very boring. What is it now? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So 4 days basically of inactivity. I'm not the type to kind of sit around and not do anything. But when you're forced to, you have to. Not only doesn't get you to your goal quicker or get you to your goal at all, but it's also very tough for your mental freaking health. I'm bored. That's the number one thing. Boredom is is painful, especially when you are used to working out every single day for 530 days in a row, right? So for somebody to be inactive for 2 or 3 days and they'll kind of live a normal life, that's kind of cool. But for somebody to be on the other side of that spectrum, somebody that works out all the time and even potentially, as some of you guys say, too much, inactivity is very, very hard. Inactivity is very, very hard. In my opinion, inactivity is very, very bad. Now, when I say inactivity, I have been doing stuff, but that stuff to my radar it's not even a blip. It's just nothing, man. I always tell my people around me, my friends and my family, I feel like in the 21st century, in this kind of like first world kind of country, everything is easy, man. Everything is easy. We got cars, we got water on tap, we got food. You can freaking get food delivered to you. You don't even have to leave the house now at all. But back when we were kind of overseas, and back when my parents were, my age and younger, and definitely my grandparents, stories, man. Like, you had to walk up and down hills to get to school. You had to walk to school. There was no buses. You had to walk, or ride a bike. Everything was harder. Everything, like, life was harder. And so, because life is now easier, we have to buy a squat rack to make up for the easiness, so we can not decay physically and also mentally. Life is getting really, really easy. So I always, tell my wife and my family and friends, life has become so easy that we have to now work out to be healthy. Whereas people beforehand, life was just physical enough. The physicality was there. We didn't have, you hit a button for everything. Hit a button for a heater, hit a button for an air conditioner, hit a button for whatever. You had to actually go and cut a tree down, chop that thing up, put it in the oven, hit yourself this way. So all of that kind of takes physical exertion to get. Now everything's on a button, man. Everything's on a button. My friend was telling me that one of his kids, they went somewhere and they jumped into a car, and his son said, "Where's the button for the window?" He's never seen, he's, a teenager now. He's never seen a car which doesn't have a button to open up the window. Like, this is the kind of, world we kind of live in now, where kids, they're just used to buttons doing everything for them. I remember, man, my first car, you just had to grab that thing. You had to like turn the thing, right? Like, you just can't hit a button and it opens up. So inactivity is very, very difficult. And because of our just sedentary life that we live in 21st century, we need to kind of work out. But you have an easy life and then you're forced to have an activity. Now we're like extra inactive, because not even our daily lives are bringing some sort of physicality to it. I can just imagine people from like 100 years ago. You're sick, that's cool, man, but you still need to get that lumber in and put it in the oven if you don't want to die. Like, you need to warm yourself, especially if you're snowing under. But the other thing about all of this is that inactivity is physically, I just mentioned it's really bad. I also kind of mentioned the mental side. The mental side is also like very interesting for me. I know there's been a whole bunch of research done on physical exertion, physical exercise, for patients with depression. So, psychiatrists, psychologists are now prescribing exercise. There's, natural endorphins released. I mean, everyone that's ever kind of exercised, you feel better when you're moving around and we have a good workout. I mean, there's nothing sweeter to me than when I do the pig squat routine. Like, it is brutal. It is war. It is basically, you're uncomfortable for an hour and a half. Depends how hard you push. But then after that last set and thereafter, you just feel like a king, man. It's like a natural high. It almost kind of occurs to me that the harder the session, the better you're going to feel afterwards. Runners talk about this all the time. Imagine running for 3-4 hours, man. Even longer. Some of these ultras, man, they're running for like days, man. Imagine how good they feel after spending such a long time, spending such a long time being so uncomfortable, and then all of a sudden that kind of washes away, and then the natural endorphins kick in. So inactivity, man, it's not good. Also, like from medical side, when patients go to ICU and when they're intubated, we're breathing for them, they're on the ventilator. I'm not an ICU nurse at all, but I've heard things and whatever. Never worked in ICU, but they need to rotate their position on the bed all the time. Inactivity is really, really bad. So if you had a patient lying on completely just flat on their back for an X amount of time, you develop pressure ulcers, right? So you need to rotate the patient around to make sure you don't get pressure ulcers. Pressure ulcers are basically pressure from being in one position all the time, and then you basically become bruised. There's poor blood supply to those areas, and then there's skin breakdown, and then wounds form, and then you can die like that basically. The other thing is with ventilated patients, they sometimes put them on their stomachs, like on their backs up in bed, to make sure that the blood because these people are not moving around. The circulation is really, really bad. So sometimes they put them on their stomachs, so then the front part, if you will, of the lungs get more oxygen rather than the back, because gravity. And then another example of inactivity being bad is people get DVTs, deep vein thrombosis, blood clots essentially when they go on a long period of inactivity. We see it all the time. People have hip replacements, knee replacements, and then they go home and they just kind of like sit down in bed and whatever, and they don't do anything. It's like a sudden decrease in activity. Or people go on long trips, car trips. People go on long plane trips, and they get like lower leg blood clots. So wherever you look, wherever you kind of look and read about, you learn that the body does not like inactivity. Even in sickness, you need to kind of move around. This is why, people have knee and hip replacements. We often just load them up with heaps of pain relief and get them up basically the next day or even that afternoon. Depends on when the surgery is. The thing is, you just want the person up and moving as soon as possible. Research says that the sooner we get up onto our feet, the better the recovery is. Something about circulation, something about avoiding these clots, pneumonias. If people can't physically move, we get physios in, they move their limbs for them, right? They stretch them. We do these coughing exercises where it's like a little device where there's like ping pong balls in these tubes, and then we kind of like blow this device, and we try and get the ping pong balls to rise. So that's designed for patients who are staying in hospital for a long time to kind of like use the bottom of their lungs, if you will. So medicine, mainstream medicine is well aware of inactivity being really bad. So wherever you look, man, wherever you look, inactivity is bad. So mental, physical, even emotional, right? We're talking about, depression and all of that. I know that's kind of linked with mental health, but there's a reason why I feel bad, just bored, not doing stuff. Maybe I'm kind of like a rare breed, but I lose my appetite when I don't train hard. I'm hardly eating anything. I know I'm sick and whatever, but previous times in my life when I've taken time off the gym and not worked hard, my appetite just drops. I just don't have a need to consume these calories. This is why I feel the milk and squats routine, the 20 rep squat routine is so effective, because you're working so hard and you're consuming so many calories. They go hand in hand. Anyway, it's really hard for me to be inactive. Like I already mentioned, it's hard enough for somebody that's kind of living a normal life, but for me, that's 530 days into the squat routine, everyday squat routine. It's kind of hard. So it is what it is. Sometimes, like somebody said in the comments, it's like it's like nature forcing you a deload. This is why I don't like deloads, man, because it makes no sense to me. Like I get the theory behind it, but you can, like I get deloads where you literally just deload and you continue to work, But I don't get deloads where you just completely remove yourself from the environment. Like you completely just sit on the couch, eat chips, and just, watch the movies for a week or two. I don't get that type. But I get the type where you kind of work up to 50% of your usual workload and you just work that. I get that. But even then, it's kind of hard to kind of take your foot off the pedal. It's not intuitive to think that, you're going to get to your destination quicker if you take your foot off the accelerator. It's not intuitive, is it? But anyway, that's kind of what you need. Anyway, so this is now day 4 now for me of being sick. Man, I know where I got it from. I got it from my kids. Kindy is a cesspool of viruses. Man, these kids, man, they harbor the hardest viruses. I work in ED, man. Like there's viruses everywhere around me. But what he brings home is like potent as anything, man. Like that thing will drop you like crazy. So anyway, day 4, I'm kind of getting a little bit better. Still have a cough. Still, it gets really bad at night. Like I'm talking to you guys now at 6:30 at night, so it's gonna pick up right now. Between now and like 10 o'clock, it's just cough central. But it's clearing up slowly. Today, what did I do? Nothing, man. I was inactive. I worked up to a set of 5 with 60 kilos, and that was basically it. I still feel kind of weird, weak and whatever, and I'm trying to not be a numbskull and work hard when I shouldn't be working hard. But that's it, guys. If you're feeling well, if you're feeling normal, get up and about, man. Just do it. I've given you so many examples why the body doesn't like to be inactive. You need to do something, because we live in the 21st century. If you're watching this from a first world country, you got some work to do just to get back to 0, because your ancestors were in the plus because of their physical life, because they didn't have everything on button. So because you live in such a comfortable life, you need to do something every single day just to come back to 0. And then if you want to be an athlete and perform at a higher level, you need to do some more as well. This is what I say to everyone. We need to do some work just to get back to 0. All right, guys, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.